Hey there, this is Amanda with Preparing Hearts at Home, and today I thought I would do a video to show you some of our favorite winter books and Christmas books for children. My last video I did our favorite fall and Thanksgiving books, and today I thought I would do the Christmas and winter ones. Most of these are books that we have read before and we really enjoy, but there are a couple that we have not read yet in years past, so I'll also show you those. So let's get started. We have a huge selection here, and so we definitely don't get to all of these every single year, kind of just like with our Thanksgiving books. There's just a lot, and if you don't really set aside the time, it's very hard to get to them all, but I'm hoping to do a lot better about getting to them this year. So over here on these two rows would be just ones that are for winter, so they're not necessarily about Christmas, but just about snow and winter. Right here, this is a really good favorite for my kids. Katie and the Big Snow by Virginia Lee Burton, and this one's a pretty popular story. I would say probably most people have heard of it, but maybe not. It's about a snowplow named Katie, a red crawler tractor anyway, but she ends up saving this little town from a big snowstorm that comes, and so the fire department and the hospitals and the police officers and everybody's kind of stranded because of the snow, and so Katie comes in with her big snowplow and saves the day. And my little kids really like that, especially my 4 and 5-year-olds. They really enjoy this story. And we have several of Virginia Lee Burton books, and they are very enjoyable for little kids if you haven't heard of her yet. And the next one is called The Big Snow. Now obviously this is a very old copy. I think this is like from 1948, I believe. This is by Berta and Elmer Hayter. Yeah, this is from 1948. But I know that this book has been reprinted. I've seen it on Amazon. So I'm actually thinking about maybe buying a newer copy of it just so we can save this old copy and it doesn't get destroyed. But this is a really fun story. And it's pretty educational too. It talks about all the different animals. Like you have Canada geese and snowshoe hare, all kinds of different animals. But it talks about, like, they're all having a conversation with each other about whether they will be going south for winter or whether they will be staying put and just eating a bunch of food to basically hibernate or stay home for winter. So it talks about different like rodents that will, what do they do, and birds and bigger animals. But it has really neat artwork. Some of the pages are color and then some are black and white, like you can see here. But it's really pretty artwork. And like I said, it's very educational to teach your children about who hibernates and who migrates for winter time. And it's a neat story. And at the end, there is a couple, like an older man and woman, who, towards the end of the winter, they put out food, like bird seed and things, for the little, right here you can see all the animals running to get the food that the older couple have put out for them. There they are. But it's just a really sweet story. My kids really like that one too. And then this is another one that is old, and I'm not sure if this has been reprinted or not. It's called Too Many Mittens, and it's about these two little twin boys who are being taken care of by their grandmother while their parents are away. And one of them loses a mitten, and so the grandmother lets everybody in town know, hey, we've lost a mitten. And so everybody starts bringing their mittens to their home. And they end up having way more mittens than what they what they lost to begin with. So by the end of the story, they end up with a clothesline full of red mittens. So they let everybody know, hey, if you're missing a red mitten, we might have it. And it's just a really fun story. It takes place in the winter, obviously. And so that's why we like to read it, especially during winter time when we all have our coats and mittens out. And I believe this is published, I just looked, it was published in 1958. So like I said, I'm not sure if this is republished or reprinted, but it's by Florence and Lewis. I am not sure how you pronounce that. Slobodkin, I guess. And then here is another one, Belle's Journey by Marilyn Reynolds. And this is a neat story about like loyalty and perseverance. This little girl, this takes place, I think in the 20s or 30s, the 1920s or 30s. But this little girl lives out in the prairies, and she is going, during the winter time, she's going to a piano lesson, and she ends up getting caught in a blizzard on her way home, and she's with her horse. She rode her horse, and it just shows the loyalty that this horse has for this little girl, because he takes care of her, and you know, he's going through big drifts and all, and he takes care of her, and eventually he brings her home. And it obviously has a really pretty artwork, as you can see, and it's just a really good story about courage and like faithfulness and perseverance. And so, and I like how it's, you know, it takes place in a setting from the past as well. But that is a really neat book too. And then the last one that I have here, that is just a winter book, but not for Christmas. Or, I'm sorry, this is not the last one. I have a whole other row to go through. But anyway, this one is Winter at Long Pond by William T. George. And if you remember from the book, or the video I did about Thanksgiving and fall reads, this is written by the same author, and I don't remember the title of the other one, but it's written by the same author and the same illustrator. So it is also kind of the same type of story, where they are going out for a nature walk, and they are just seeing the evidences of all the different animals that are out in nature. And I've always loved this picture right here. The artwork is just beautiful in this book. But I mean, that looks so real, I think. You know, just the sunset going behind the woods there. But it just has a lot of pretty artwork, and teaches about animal tracks and the different animals and what they do during the winter. This one is not necessarily along the same lines as the fall one. Like with the other one, there's like a clue, you know, like we see these clues. Who is this? Who's been here? So that's how the fall themed book goes. This one is more just kind of educational, and it's just more like a story, but the artwork is very pretty, and it shows you the different animals and what they do for winter. And the story also is following this little boy and his dad here as they are going to get their Christmas tree out from their own woods, I guess. But we enjoy it. I like the artwork, and just like right here, they found the beaver lodge. It's just a really interesting book. But anyway, so that's Winter at Long Pond. And then these are definitely more like young reader picture books. This one has always been a really good, really big favorite in our house here. It's Flannel Kisses by Linda Crota Brennan. And this is a very sweet book, but it tells the story. It's a rhyming book, just about this little family. They live out in the woods, and the mom and the dad and the 3 little kids, they get ready to go out and play in the snow, and they're building a snowball, they have a snowball fight, but then they're also building a snowman, and then they build like a little play table, and I don't know, it's just really sweet. And it's a little rhyming story, and the artwork is really cute. It's pretty captivating. My kids have always liked it ever since they were very little. But anyway, so that's that one. And the next one, this is another one that's quite popular. The Snowy Jay The Snowy Day by Ezra Jack Keats. About this little guy who lives in this city up in an apartment, and he sees the snow coming down, and so it just follows him as he goes out and plays in the snow for the day, really. That's pretty much how the whole story goes. But it's very interesting for little kids, and my kids anyway have always really liked this story. It's a classic. The next one is Stepping by Woods on a Snowy Evening by Robert Frost, and this is just an illustrated book of his poem. It's illustrated by Susan Jeffers, and it is beautiful. Let me see if I can get it open. So it has the poem and then just illustrations to go along with it. And we always enjoy reading this every winter time. Some of these books we will read more than once if they're small enough, or short enough, I should say. But some of them we only get to once a year. These next two are both written by Jane Yolen. One is Owl Moon, and the other one is Welcome to the Ice House. And I think these are pretty popular as well. I know there's some, I'm not sure which curriculum it is, I don't remember, but I know one of them includes this Owl Moon. And this is also, has really pretty artwork and tells the story of a little girl and her dad, and they're going out owling. So they're going out listening to see if they can call in an owl, basically, and listen to it. And these are just really sweet stories, a lot of these. I just enjoy them. These are good, cuddling up on the couch and reading them together type of books. And here is Welcome to the Ice House, also by Jane Yolen. This one is a little bit more kind of educational, I guess you could say, because it teaches children what each of the animals are called. Like this is an Arctic fox. And then, so they can learn animal identification. So these would be good for probably like a unit study for winter, like Arctic animals or whatnot. But also it has very pretty artwork. But yes, we just enjoy this one as well. And then these two, these are both Jan Brett. This is the hat, and this is the mitten. Just it doesn't have a dust jacket on it. I got both of these used. This one's the mitten, a Ukrainian folktale adapted and illustrated by Jan Brett. So this is the story of a little boy who wants a white mitten, and he wants his grandmother to knit him a white mitten, and she's kind of against that idea because she's afraid it will get lost in the white snow, but he still wants it. And he ends up dropping it outside. And so all of these different animals decide they're going to curl up in it to stay warm. And they end up just cramming full the mitten. So it's a pretty funny story. My kids always laugh at the end when the bear sneezes and everybody goes flying. But obviously it's got really pretty pictures as well. And it's just neat. All of Jan Brett's books are like that. They're all such pretty books. And then this one's the hat, where Hedgie the Hedgehog decides he wants to wear some of this little girl's woolens and put it on his head as a hat. But I think he does it on accident, really. He gets stuck. But then he's telling everybody that he wanted to do it on purpose because he's embarrassed. And so everyone's asking him, what is he doing? And then he tells them, I'm wearing it as a hat to stay warm. And so they all go and steal all the little girl's woolens off of the clothesline. And in each picture you turn, her clothesline gets emptier and emptier on the top. So this is another really funny story that my kids always laugh at as well. But yes, that's a really good book too. And the last of the winter books is this here. And this is Winter Days in the Big Woods. And so this is basically an adaptation from Laura Ingalls Wilder's Little House in the Big Woods, like chapter book. And so they've just adapted a small part of it and made a picture book about it. And I'm not sure, let me see, I'm not sure if it's, okay, no, it's not Garth Williams, it's Renee Graff, or Graff, I'm not sure how you pronounce her name there, but this is, we have I think all of these Little House picture books, maybe all of them except for A Farmer Boy Birthday. I think that's the only one we don't have. But these are so sweet, especially like if you'd like to introduce your children to it when they're maybe a little younger than being able to sit and listen to the chapter book, or maybe you would just like to, you know, have pictures as well. But my kids have always liked these ever since, you know, pretty much ever since they were born, and we would read them to them. But this just talks about, like her father is going to go try to get a deer, go hunt for deer so that they have food for the winter, and they're gathering in all their garden harvest and storing it up in their attic. And they're drawing pictures with their mother's thimble that Jack Frost left on the window there. So it's taken right from the book, but it's just adapted to be a little bit smaller chunks. And so here they're having their baking day and their paper dolls. But the pictures are really, really pretty as well. And so it's a lot shorter for your kids to be able to pay attention to. And I always love this picture. I always thought that was so pretty. Looks so cozy. But anyway, so that is the last book that would just be for winter. So we have quite a stack, and that's why, like I said, we don't necessarily get through all of these every single year. So all of these on this side are Christmas specific. This one, The Story of Christmas by Patricia A. Pingree. This is a little board book, obviously, and it just tells the story of the angel coming to Mary, and, you know, them going to Bethlehem. So it's a short, it's kind of like short and sweet and gets to the point, but it's good for the little kids, for them to be able to understand the Christmas story. And I like at the very end, let me see if I can get there. On the last page, it talks about why we give gifts to each other. It has a family, so it starts and ends with the same little family, and it's just a really good book. And I think this is a little bit older edition of it. I know I've seen it at bookstores since I bought this. I bought this used, like I buy probably 95% of our books, but this has been a really good book just to teach our kids about Christmas and what it means and the biblical story, just for a younger audience, basically. And so this next one, I bought this a few years ago because I wanted a book that taught my kids about St. Nicholas and who he was, and just, you know, to know what the real story of St. Nicholas was and who on earth this Santa Claus guy is. So we bought this. It's St. Nicholas, The Real Story of the Christmas Legend by Julie Steigmeyer. And it goes all the way into telling you who Nicholas was, like where he lived and who he was a long time ago. And then it goes into some of the legend about how he was so generous. He had come from a wealthy family, and he was a bishop in Greece. And so he used his inheritance money that his parents had left him to help people in his community who needed money. This is I guess probably the most famous story about him is these three young sisters who don't have a dowry to get married. So Nicholas, you know, I guess in those days it was very bad if you didn't get married. You didn't have anybody to take care of you, and you could actually be, sold off to slavery even. So he decides he's going to help them, and he drops 3 little bags of gold And I'm pretty sure, like the story goes, that it fell in their stockings, and so that's where we get the whole gold in the stockings. But not the gold in the stockings, but that's where we get the tradition of hanging stockings, I should say. I would like to get some gold in a stocking, though. But anyway, it's got really pretty pictures, and it teaches your children who St. Nicholas was, and as you can see in the last picture in here, the family is giving gifts to a family who maybe doesn't have as much and could use some help. But and it's got like a little glossary in the back of all the different terms that you read in the story. But it's a really good book to just teach your kids about St. Nicholas. If you were trying to find one out there and maybe didn't know, but yeah, that's a good one. And this is another one that's a Christmas story. This is called One Christmas Dawn by Candace F. Ransom. This little girl or young girl lives in Appalachia, and I think her father goes off to work and leaves her and her mother home, and they are not sure if he's going to be able to make it back in time for Christmas. He's gotten stranded because of snow. So, and I'm not sure if you can see that because of the glare, but it's a sweet story of the importance of family and taking care of one another. It's got very pretty artwork in it. Talks about family traditions. And I'm trying to get this where you can see it, and I'm not sure if I'm successful. But anyway, so at the end, this is a dream she has that winter is past and all the hard times are over, and she's waiting for spring to come when things will be easier for their family. And at the end of the story, her daddy has come home, and so has a good resolution to it. But it's a sweet story. Alright, so this one is another book about the Christmas story, Who is Coming to Our House by Joseph Slate. And this is a cute picture book for your very young children, because it's just very, a little bit of text on each word, on each page. And it's this barn with all of these animals, and they're saying they need to clean up because somebody is coming to their house. So it's another rhyming book. And it's always been a favorite at our house with our littlest kids. And it's got cute artwork as well. And there's Mary and Joseph with baby Jesus getting ready to be born. And that's who's coming to stay at their house. So it's a really cute story. And this one here is called The Christmas Star. And I have no idea who the author is of this. Oh, Aaliyah Zobel Nolan, I guess, is who the author is. But this is about a little shepherd boy, and he is with his father out tending their sheep when the angel comes and tells them that God's son has been born in Bethlehem, and tells them to follow the star. And so they are following the star, and they eventually come to see baby Jesus. So this is a really cute board book for young children, and teaches them the Christmas story from a different perspective. This is the perspective of the shepherds. But it's my kids always like that one as well. This is the Pine Tree Parable by Liz Curtis Higgs. She's got one for all of the seasons. The pumpkin patch parable and the pine tree, the Easter lily parable, and I'm not sure what the summer one is because we don't have that. But this is about a family who owns a Christmas tree farm, and they have one special tree that they never let anybody come and cut down. and it's not for sale. The mother puts a little sign there. And right at the end of the season, there's this family who's obviously, you know, having a rough time of it. And the little girl decides that she would like this one tree, and it's the most beautiful, perfect tree, and it would cost very, very much money. And so her parents tell her, you know, we can't afford that. But at the end, the family of the farmer's family whose Christmas tree farm it is, decides that they were going to give the tree to this little girl because she was so poor yet so full of hope, is what it says. So they decide they won't sell it to them, but they will give it to them. But it's just a really sweet story of sacrifice and caring for others and giving of yourself to others, just for their happiness, but you know, not seeking any gain. So that's a really cute story in that Liz Curtis Higgs series. This one is The Friendly Beasts. So this is a really old, an old English Christmas carol, and it's just illustrated by, and I don't even know how you say his name, Tommy DePola. But I actually have had this book since I was a little kid, and so this is the one that I've just kept and hung on to. And so it's just the old carol, you know, I said the donkey shaggy and brown, I carried his mother uphill and down. So it's that little carol, and then he's just illustrated it. So it looks very, you know, the artwork is very much recognizable, I think. But this tells the Christmas story, also from the viewpoint of the animals who are in the manger, or in the stable, I'm sorry. But that's another Christmas one. And here is another from the My First Little House books series. This is Christmas in the Big Woods. So this is also taken from Laura Ingalls Wilder, Little House in the Big Woods book. And this is just their Christmas story. Their family all snowed in, and they have their grandmother, and I don't think they have their grandmother, but they have their aunt and uncle come stay with them for Christmas time. But they get to play with their cousins and eat maple candy from the snow and open their Christmas presents. So it's another good book in that series if you don't have that yet. These are some more books. This one is A Pioneer Christmas by Barbara Greenwood. So this is from that same series, the Pioneer Thanksgiving, that I had talked about in my last video. So it's following the same family celebrating in the backwoods in 1841. So this one's very educational as well. But I'm going to have to stop because my children are doing something bad.